Happy Wednesday, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Sportswrap Daily. I am Darrell Harris, your host today. Looking forward to a nice rundown of topics we're going to catch you up to speed on this Wednesday, midway point of the week. All right, you guys are staying strong. We've been talking about all the news going on. Of course, Formula One's here. We're going to blow that out of the water this weekend. But right now, we're going to talk about an issue that I've been really keeping my thumb on because it's kind of tough to follow. And joining me is 8 News Now's Alexis Bass. Thanks for joining me, Alexis. And
Thank you very much.
Something that we've talked about. We talked about on Sportswrap, and we've got an update today on the WNBA contract and labor negotiations. A pretty big one.
Yeah, give it to us, Darrell.
Yeah, so last time we talked about that on here was on Monday, I believe, and I gave the timeline of what has to happen in what order. And an extension from the original deadline gave an extra 30 days, and I said, hey, if it doesn't happen within this 30 days, they're in some, deep waters. Yeah. And the previous offer was $850,000. This really all went into high gear with this statement during the All-Star game back in July. The players wearing the T-shirts, they had signs that said, pay us what you owe us. And they've made some progress in terms of what they are now being offered. The most recent offer on Monday, which I brought to you guys, was $850,000. We have an update. We mentioned that the players wanted to be million-dollar athletes. This is the particulars, and I'll toss it over to you, Alexis. But the latest offer as of last night, a $1.1 million max contract is what the league is offering the players. This is up from $850,000. And remember that the league was telling the players beyond that was unsustainable, and that's why they weren't offering it. But somehow they've found it to be sustainable now. The minimum contract right now, I believe, is $75,000, would go to $250,000. So that's roughly, that's a couple, tripling.
I was just going to say more than double.
Yeah. And then the max contract currently is $250,000. So the current maximum contract, what Asia Wilson's making, will become the new minimum salary if this passes. The average would be about $460,000. So roughly $500,000 on average is the average salary that would fall under this. And that last note is that it includes revenue sharing, which is a big way the players feel like getting a set percentage of split revenue. In the NBA, for example, is 50-50. The WNBA, that percentage split hasn't really been shared publicly. They said that they will include that because with the revenue sharing presents a sliding scale for the current maximum to increase. Now that that's laid all out, I do think that this means a deal is going to get done before this November 30th deadline. What are you thinking, Alexis?
Yeah, I would agree, especially when you go ahead and lay out all the numbers you see on your screen. And by the way, I think even the crazier stat, besides getting to that 7-figure mark, is that the minimum used to be the maximum. So now players are wondering, where was the miracle in finding those funds, that money? If you can find it like that, do we push back more? Do we get a little greedy? But then again, is that considered being greedy? Is that advocating? How do you find a balance in that? I don't know.
During that All-Star break in Indianapolis, Phoenix Mercury forward Satu Sabali, she's a great international player and one of the best in the WNBA. We saw her in the finals against the Aces. She spoke pretty candidly, and they said they asked her, "What about $1 million contract?" And this is way back; they hadn't even reached this stage of negotiations. Ago, right? Yes. They said, "What about $1 million?" She said, "That'd be a slap in the face." So the players might want more. And now that they've cracked a little bit, maybe is this the happy medium? Is this the breaking point?
I will say the new standard of the minimum, but then how do you keep up with that? Okay, so sure we've reached a good middle point, but if I'm a player and that's where my brain is, that $1 million is a slap in the face and I'm offended by $1 million. I'm asking to double and triple again. In simple negotiations, you are that person, the players' party should be inclined to say, "Oh, well, like you said, like where did that come from?"
So go put a little more on that then, and we will see. What this doesn't notate, and I did read that discussion is being had. that current rookies, for example, Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, Angel Reese, both reigning rookies of the year in Paige and Caitlin, along with a handful. There was a great rookie class this last year. Cameron Brink, the Rakia Jacksons, and all of them. They're still on the current rookie deals. So I believe Caitlin's getting paid about $80,000 a season from the WNBA.
Which is wild.
So they were saying that if this were to take into effect next year, were there conversations to bring those rookies up to speed to where they would be at least the proper threshold for what the new rookie contracts will be? Because the rookies that get drafted in the spring before next season would be on this pay structure. They said that conversation was being had, which I bet those players are like, y'all better be having that conversation.
Oh, 100%. And then you already know the rookies coming in are already having those conversations with their people as well. And I know we've also talked about this. The other part of this conversation is that outside of the league, the players are making way more than they'll ever receive at this current state from the league. So,
right.
But that doesn't, I love that it doesn't keep them from advocating what they know they feel like they deserve from the W, and I don't blame them for it. And as we've also talked about, they've received support from multiple other professional leagues, which says a lot. And so there's been pushback, not just as, oh my goodness, they're women in sports. No, it's been from everywhere. They've had roaring support.
And there's new developments on those other competing leagues front. We already know that locally, Jackie Young and Chelsea Gray are participating in Unrivaled, which was formed by current WNBA players last year. So this will be their second season. They expanded. This is the 3-on-3 full court league. It's pretty fun. I think that the league itself did reinvigorate Chelsea Gray last year because the different kind of play, it's more like you have way more space on a full shortened court for the Unrivaled format. And Chelsea kind of found her bag again, I feel like, in terms of just becoming a scorer, adding, playing a different role than you normally do, the same role all at the same time for the Aces. So I think Unrivaled is cool, but there's also this Project B league that I believe has some Saudi Arabia-backed funding that's throwing a lot of money out there, and we do now know that Jewel Lloyd is the latest player to commit to that league, and that schedule runs kind of close to the WNBA actual schedule, but we know it's no surprise that players play overseas in other leagues sometimes. I will pivot from the women's side to the men's side just to mention Pay an nod to something we've never seen before, ladies and gentlemen. This is an absolute first. LeBron James. Heard of him? He's been playing basketball longer than his son, who is in the NBA, has been alive.
Right. Been born. Yeah, that is a crazy way to think about it.
Year 23 for LeBron kicked off. He made his season debut for the Lakers last night. Got a double-double. He was out there looking like Point Bron, and it was cool to see. I mean, like, so you a big Bron guy, little Bron guy,
well,
not a Bron guy?
Here's the thing. I'm not,
it's okay
not a
LeBron
fan.
That's fine.
I don't want to. The same way that I feel like I'm not a not Swiftie, but I also support as well.
Don't call me
okay?
a Swiftie, right?
And so I think you can't deny his talent, the things that he does in the community for the world, all those things. And I honestly even go back from watching the starting five where he talks about his body work, and I know he got a lot of slack for, rumor has it he spends over $1 million on his body a year, but here's the thing, that is his job, and I think he breaks that down, and there's a reason why he's able to play 2+ decades in the league, and not just his body work support, his mental, physical health, but he also talks about his wife and the way that she's been able to support him, and he wouldn't be here
Takes a village.
without him as well. So no hater by any means. I think you have to acknowledge talent when you see it, whether or not you are a quote unquote LeBron fan or not. So it is a big deal. And you love that players are able to continue to do what they love no matter how old they are, because I've always said it, if I was able to play sports forever, fantastic. But your body doesn't always allow it.
Right. And you're seeing the joy. I hope that you notice in all these pictures, he's smiling for the most part, because it was a fun game. The Lakers ran away from the Jazz in the fourth quarter. I had to watch it, but there was some, how is he going to look, or where he's coming off the sciatica injury, which people say can be very painful. And we just know he's also aging. So it was cool to see him kind of shake off some of the rust from not having played a little while and then having fun. The team, and this is also a new looking Lakers roster. We had Yaron Weitzman, author of a new book, Hollywood Ending, Dreams and Drama of the LeBron Lakers, and he shared great insight. If you all can, November 13th, I believe. It was actually November 7th, I believe. Keep scrolling. Watch all the Sportswrap dailies that we have on demand on the app, and you'll eventually get to your own interview. But he has some cool things in that book that we talked about LeBron. He's a rare breed in terms of this guy's vocal about his off-the-court passions and pursuits as an active player, whether that be activism, whether that be, voting and wanting to be an owner of a future franchise. He talks about all that. Not many players balance juggling both, and he's done it for 23 years.
Yeah, I will say we'll have the Las Vegas LeBrons around here before.
We might.
I don't know.
Let's take a quick break. Thank you for staying with us on a Monday. When we come back, we are going to talk a little bit of Golden Knights, a little bit of Raiders. They've got a game this Sunday against a pretty popular rookie quarterback. Alexis is also going to, again, catch us up on these Golden Knights. They had a game last night over at the Fortress. Find out what happened when we come back on Sports Wrap Daily.